Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello students, this is the 7th topic of your chapter, which is what is inside our eyes. Students, we are able to look at the objects not just because of light but because we have a sense organ present inside our body, that is our eye. Right? We have eyes. It is a wonderful sense organ. We are able to look at the beautiful world because of this sense organ only. We have different colors of eyes as well. Eyes are very beautiful. So students, there is a reason that only eye is the sense organ through which we can see. We cannot see through our skin. We cannot see through our nose. We cannot see through our mouth. So our eyes have something that makes it possible for us to look at the surroundings, right? Eyes are very sensitive as well. We'll be studying about that also. We basically have to take a lot of care of our eyes. So let us start, students. How are we able to look at the world? Let us start. Now, eye has a roughly spherical shape. This is the diagram of the human eye. You can see that it is roughly spherical. Right? The outer coat of the eye is white. This outer coat, this is the outer coat. As you can see, this is the outer coat. This is basically white. Right? It is tough so that it can protect the interior of the eye from accidents. You have sometimes, you must have noticed that your eye is very sensitive. Even if a dust particle enters, you feel a lot of irritation. So eyes are very, very sensitive. And the inner part of the eye is even more sensitive. So to protect that inner system from the outside world, there is a white covering that is somewhat tough to protect the inside articles, right? Its transparent front part is called cornea. This is the transparent front part, the outside part, that is called cornea, through which the light enters. Behind the cornea, we find a dark muscular structure called iris. This, as you can see, this black structure is iris. Dark muscular structure is iris. So now you have an idea through which area the light enters and what are, let us see what else is present inside our eye. In the iris, there is a small opening called pupil. There is a small opening called pupil. This is the iris, right? And this small opening is known as, this is basically, this whole area is iris. And there is a small opening that is known as pupil. We know cornea is transparent, then cornea has a black muscular structure known iris, and there is a small hole, there is a small opening inside iris that is called pupil. The size of pupil is controlled by the iris. The size of pupil is controlled by the iris. Basically, pupil is an opening, so it tells us that light basically enters through pupil. Obviously, cornea is transparent, so light is getting a gateway, but what is the main entrance? The main entrance is pupil, through which opening the light enters is known as pupil, and its size is adjusted by iris. Basically, iris is a muscle which controls the size of pupil, right? Now, you must have seen that when you are in a dark room, you have to notice that when you are in dark room, your pupil, the size of your pupil increases. Because in a dark room, the light is not present sufficiently. So to absorb as much as light as the eye can, the size of pupil enhances and hence more of the light can enter. Basically if this is the pupil and only this is the opening, right? Then only this much light can enter. But if in a dark room, our pupil, the opening basically is enhanced, the size of the opening increases. So this much is the area through which light can enter. So obviously, in a dark room, the pupil's size increases, and when we are present in a bright sunlight, then the size of pupil decreases because the light is already very sufficient and it enters in sufficient amount into our eye. So the size of pupil is smaller, right? The iris is that part of the eye which gives it distinctive color. We have seen blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, black eyes. That is because of the color of iris. Iris is responsible for the color of our eyes. When we say that a person has green eyes, we refer to the color of iris. If a person is said to have green eyes, then the color of the iris of his eye is green, That is why we refer the color, that is how we refer the color. We are basically referring the color of iris. The iris controls the amount of light entering into the eye. As I told you that in the iris there is a small opening called pupil. The size of pupil is controlled by iris. Hence, the iris controls the amount of light entering into the eye. So, it is the function of iris to determine how much amount of light is required by the eye, and depending on that, it changes the size of pupil accordingly, right? Now, this is a small activity which is torch activity. You can see another labeling present in the diagram as well. You do not have to know all of this. You will be learning about retina, about optic nerve in the coming lecture, but the rest of the human eye will be told to you in the coming years in the higher education, right? Now, students, this is a torch activity. What you have to do basically is you have to call your friend. Do this very carefully. Don't do this in a careless manner. Do it very carefully. You call your friend, and what you have to notice is you have to firstly look at the eye without switching on the torch. Now, without pointing any torch, the size of the pupil is this. It is enlarged because it is a dark room. Not dark, at least it does not have sunlight. So, in a room, the size of the pupil remains this much. This is the size of the pupil, right? This is the color of iris, as you can see, brown color. This is iris and this is pupil. This is the opening through which the light enters. Now, when you switch on the torch in front of the eye of your friend, the size of pupil decreases. Size of pupil is smaller because there is ample ambient lighting. Right, there is a good amount of light present, so the pupil's size decreases, and hence we can say that when there is a good amount of light present, the size of pupil is smaller. But when there is little ambient light, dark conditions, then the size of pupil is increased. And this is done by what? This is done by iris. So this by this activity we can learn how the size of our pupil depends upon the light present around us. Right, students? This was a very fun activity, very simple. Now, behind the pupil of the eye is a lens which is thicker in the center. Now, let us go to the diagram again. There is a lens, crystalline lens, which is thicker at the center. Thicker at the center. Now, students, you have to recall what kind of a lens is thicker at the center. Just remember. And basically, you have studied a bit of it in class 7th. There are two kinds of lenses, concave and convex. Concave is somewhat like this, and convex is somewhat like this, right? So, you have to decide that what kind of a lens is this. Now, students, the lens focuses the light on the back of the eye on a layer called retina. Now, let us see. This is the lens. Now, when the light comes through the pupil, the role of this lens is to focus the light on the layer present at the back of the eye, which is known as retina. It is kind of a screen. The light entering now is thrown to the back of the lens. This is the back of the eye. This is the lens basically. And this filters the light. It basically makes it focus on the retina. And then what happens is, the retina contains several nerve cells. Retina is made up of nerve cells. Right? Now, sensations felt by the nerve cells are then transmitted to the brain through optic nerve. Now, what happens is, this retina sends signals to the optic nerve, through which the signal is sent to the brain, and hence this is how we are able to see. The retina converts these images into signals, and these signals are then sent to brain, and then brain again processes these signals into images. Right? So basically what happens is, the complete procedure, there is your eye, there is an outer covering which is white, then there is a part of that outer covering which is transparent, which is known as cornea. Now, behind cornea is a muscular system, that is iris, which determines the color of eye as well. Then there is an opening in the iris, which is known as pupil, through which the light enters. The size of pupil is altered by the iris only, depending upon the light present around us. Now, when the light enters, that light falls onto the lens present inside our eyes, which is, the lens is thicker at the center. Now, this light is thrown directly to the back of the eye, which is retina, to the back side of the eye. This is kind of a screen, you can say, where the image is formed. This image is then converted into signals by the nerve cells. Then these nerve cells send signal to the optic nerve, which ultimately sends the signal to the brain. Then brain also decodes the signals and forms images into our mind, right? So this is how the human eye functions. This is the complete function of our human eye. Now there are two kinds of cells: cones, which are sensitive to bright light, and rods, which are sensitive to dim light. There are two kinds of cells, cones and rods. Cones are sensitive to bright light, and rods are sensitive to dim light. Cones sense color as well. Cones, which are sensitive to bright light, are also responsible to sense the color. Then at the junction of the optic nerve and the retina, there are no sensory cells, so no vision is possible at that spot. This spot is called the blind spot. Now let us see. There is an area where optic nerve and retina combine. Here kind of this area is the area which is blind spot. Here no image can be formed. No image is formed at that area. Now that area is known as the blind spot, students. Alright. Now to understand the blind spot, here is an activity. What you have to do is, you have to take a strip of paper, right? This is a strip of paper. On one side of the paper you have to mark a dot, and the other side of the paper you have to mark a cross. Now what you do is, you take the strip of paper and you start looking at one of them only. For the first case, let us take the dot. You have to take the paper. On this side is the dot. So you keep on looking at the dot and you bring the paper closer to the eye. After some time, you won't be able to look at the cross, right? And if you do the same and you look at the cross and you bring the paper close, the dot is here and the cross is here in front of you. After some time, you won't be able to look at the dot now, right? So what is happening? Why is this image disappearing? Why are we not able to look at one of the structures when we bring the paper closer to us? Let us see why you should perform this activity. This is a very good activity to understand the concept of blind spot. Basically, the impression of an image does not vanish immediately. In this activity, you also have to shake the paper a bit, right? Not just bring it, you have to shake it and bring it towards yourself. This image of the second basically spot will disappear. Now what is the fact behind it? Why are we not able to look at it? Because the image formed of the second object is at the blind spot, and hence there are no nerve cells present there which can catch the image, which can sense any signals to the brain, to the optic nerve. So we are not able to process that image. As we bring it closer, the image basically is formed near the blind spot. As soon as it reaches the blind spot, we are not able to look at the picture. We are not able to define that picture. Hence, when we bring it closer, we are only able to see the one spot. The other spot is not visible because its image is being formed at the blind spot, right? Now let us go into another facts for a while. The impression of an image does not vanish immediately from the retina. What does this mean? That, for example, you are looking at an object and then you stop looking at it suddenly, right? You are looking at it. That image, the object that you just saw, does not vanish completely from your eyes. This is why you are able to remember some of the incidents also, right? You have a memory, you have a pictorial memory. That is also because of this fact only. But here we are talking about the image particularly, that it does not vanish immediately. It persists there for about 1/16th of a second. It basically persists for about 1/16th of a second. This is the time for which that image stays. So if still images are moving, if the still images of a moving object are flashed on the eye at a rate faster than 16 per second, basically you have to show more than 16 images in 1 second. If you look at more than 16 images of a moving object, in 1 second, then your mind will process it as a video, not as a picture. Then the eye perceives this object is moving, as moving, right? What do we understand? That the image of an object stays into our mind for a time period of 1/16th of a second. So, if we see more than 16 images of a moving object in 1 second, then our mind won't be able to differentiate between the images or the moving object. Our mind will basically think that the object is moving, right? The movies that we see are actually a number of separate pictures in proper sequence, right? Proper sequence and timely structured. They are made to move across the eye, usually at the rate of 24 pictures per second, faster than 16 per second. So we see a moving picture, right? So now we understand how a video is made. Basically, in a second we are looking at more than 16 pictures in 1 second. Hence, we perceive that object to be moving, right? It is basically only pictures, but our mind thinks that it is a movie. It is a video kind of an object, a kind of video. We basically are dealing with a video. Now, human eye is basically a wonder. As I told you, human eye is a sense organ that is very, very, very important to us. Let us see how. Nature has provided eyes with eyelids. We have these eyelids that cover our eyes to prevent any object from entering the eye. We keep on blinking randomly at fixed time intervals, not even fixed, random time intervals. These eyelids shut out light when not required and also protect our eyes. For example, when you're sleeping, your eyes have no need to work. So, when the eyes are not working, we simply sleep, and hence eyes are not being used, right? And it prevents any object from entering into our eye as well, such as dust particle or any other thing. Our eye is protected. Eye is such a wonderful instrument that it can clearly see distant objects as well as objects nearby. Now, we know that the function of an eye is to look at an object and then form an image inside our eye and then send signals to the brain. So, the lens present in our eye is so much adjustable that we are able to look at the objects close to us as well as to the objects that are far away from us. You can look at the airplane and you can look at the ant walking on your table, right? This is how efficient the human eye is. We do not need to adjust any lenses. If you take a professional camera, you will have to adjust the lens according to the object, according to distance to the object. But the human eye adjusts itself very, very, very efficiently. So human eye is actually a wonder. The minimum distance at which the eye can see objects varies with age. With age, there are some issues with the lens, with the muscles present around the lens, which do not work that efficiently, that they are not able to adjust the lens properly according to the objects present around us. So, with age, the eye can see, the minimum distance at which the eye can see objects can change, may vary distinctively. The most comfortable distance at which one can read with a normal eye is about 25 centimeters. Right? It is basically this much of a distance. We can read perfectly at this distance because this is the most comfortable distance at which one can read with a normal eye. So, this basically, now we are studying about the problems related to eye. Eyes are not perfect because this sense organ is used for our whole life. There may occur some defects. Let us see what those are. Some persons can see objects close to them clearly but cannot see distant objects so clearly. This happens to many people, that they can see the objects present near to them but they cannot see the objects that are far away, that are very far. Basically, you cannot see those objects clearly. You cannot read a banner that is present 600 meters to you or 500 meters to you, even though it is a large banner. This happens. And some persons cannot see objects nearby clearly, but they can see the distant objects quite well. There are two kinds of difficulties. In one difficulty, you cannot see the far objects. Your far-sightedness is, in this case, far-sightedness, becomes faulty. While in this case, short-sightedness occurs, right? So, not actually, you do not have to go into these terms. You will be learning about these into higher classes. Basically, in the first case, you are not able to look at the far objects. In the second case, you are not able to look at the objects that are present near you. These are two kinds of difficulties commonly seen. With suitable corrective lenses, these defects of eye can be corrected, right? Basically, these are diseases known as myopia and hypermetropia. You will be studying about these in higher classes. I am just giving you the names. For each disorder, we have different kinds of lenses. You have seen people wearing spectacles. They only wear spectacles because they either are not able to look at the objects far to them, or they are not able to look at the objects present close to them, right? Sometimes particularly in old age, eyesight becomes foggy. This happens that eyesight becomes foggy. It is due to the eye lens becoming cloudy. The sight becomes blurry or cloudy. When it happens, the person is said to have cataract. This is a disease of human eye. For this, we have different operations, different surgeries as well to make it correct. But yes, cataract is a disease in which the vision becomes blurry. This is a loss of vision. There is a loss of vision sometimes, extremely severe. It is possible to treat this defect, right? The opaque lens is removed and a new artificial lens is inserted. Basically, the lens present in the eye becomes opaque. There is a layer formation and the lens becomes opaque. There is no passage of light through it. So, this lens is changed with an artificial lens. Right? So, this is how this disease is cured. Now, this was all about human eye, how human eye is a wonder, how we can, how there are problems related to human eye, what are these problems, how they can be cured, what are the measures that can help in curing these diseases, right students? In the next lecture, let us discuss about how to take care of the eyes. Till now, we have established the fact that human eye is extremely important to us. Without vision, there is no life. If we are able to look at the world, it is a very beautiful experience. Without this, the life may seem empty, right? Now, we always obviously have to take care of this sense organ if it is that much important to us. Use suitable spectacles. If you have any medical conditions such as myopia or hypermetropia, in which you are not able to look at the objects far from you or which are closer to you, then you must use suitable spectacles so that you are able to look at these objects clearly, and also you are not pressurizing your lens which is already weak. So you must assist your lens by using spectacles. Too little or too much light is bad for eyes. There must be a moderate amount of light present around you. Insufficient light causes eye strain and headaches. Insufficient light causes eye strain and headaches, right? And too much light, like that of the sun, too much light that comes from the sun or for a powerful lamp or from a laser torch, can injure the retina. Basically, there is too much light entering into your eye which goes directly to the screen, the back of the eye. They may injure retina, which ultimately leads to blindness, because retina is the screen on which the image is formed. If there is no screen, if the screen is ruptured, then there will be no image. So, we have to take care that there is no extreme light, extremely too much light present around us. Do not look at the sun or a powerful light directly. You must not look at a powerful light directly. This may injure your retina. Never rub your eyes. You must never rub your eyes. You can wash it if you have some issue, if you have any dust particles or any other particles into your eye, but you never rub your eyes. If particles of dust go into your eyes, wash your eyes with clean water. If there is no improvement, go to a doctor. If you suspect that there are dust particles present inside your eye, firstly try washing your eyes. The dirt particles may get removed. But if that doesn't happen, you should directly report to a doctor. You must seek treatment. Always read at the normal distance for vision. Do not read by bringing the book too close or too far, keeping it too far, which also is not helpful to your eye. It basically creates a lot of stress on the lens of your eye to focus at a very short distance or for a very far distance for reading purpose. Reading basically requires all the concentration of your eyes, because you are reading, you are grasping the content that is going to your brain through images, through text, and through basically your eyes also. So during reading you need good concentration, which is why you must take care while reading that you're not keeping your book too close or too far from you. Now, a balanced diet is very, very important. The health of our eye also depends on the diet that you're having. Let us see what your diet should contain so that your eyes remain healthy. Lack of vitamin A is responsible for many eye troubles such as night blindness. Deficiency of vitamin A causes night blindness. So, there must be plenty of vitamin A present in your diet so that your eyes remain healthy. Now, what are the substances that contain vitamin A? They are raw carrots, broccoli, green vegetables such as spinach, cod liver oil comes from fish from the sea, eggs, milk, curd, cheese, butter. These are all you can see, these are dairy products. Basically, you must concentrate on dairy products if you want your eyes to be healthy. And cod liver oil, green vegetables, raw carrots, broccoli. Then fruits such as papaya and mango are also rich in vitamin A. So this is what we need to inculcate into our diets so that our eyes remain healthy and they work properly for a longer period of time. And in our old age, we are not that disturbed due to our eye. Right, students? So we have to take care of our eyes, and this is how we take care of them and how a balanced diet is important.